blood on my hoodie, smoke in the air, sirens screaming from somewhere down the block. The whole street smelled like burnt rubber and fear. I remember running, boots slipping on wet asphalt, my heart punching through my chest. My left hand was clutching the bag, heavy with cash, while my right hand was slick with somebody else's blood. Behind me, I could still hear him calling my name. Not yelling, more like gasping. That half-broken sound when life's already slipping out of you. Then a gun popped from somewhere behind the dumpsters. Muzzle flash. The bullet sang past my ear and punched through a windshield in front of me. I ducked low, stumbled, and kept running. The rain started to fall harder, turning Rosewood Avenue into a mirror of flashing red and blue lights. Every reflection looked like a ghost chasing me. I turned a corner, cut through an alley behind a closed liquor store, and kicked open a chain-link gate. The metal screeched loud enough to wake the dead. That's when my phone buzzed. One message. "Where the fuck are you?" I didn't answer. My hand was shaking too bad to type. I just stuffed the phone back in my pocket and ran until my lungs burned like fire. 3 hours earlier, I was sitting in the passenger seat of a busted-up Chevy, rolling a blunt and laughing like tonight was just another payday. The world outside was wet and yellow under the streetlights, but inside that car, it felt warm, like we were untouchable. We'd done smaller hits before. Corner hustlers, stash houses, quick snatches. But tonight was different. Tonight was supposed to be the last one. The one that would finally get us out of this life. That's what we always said. He sat behind the wheel, fingers drumming on the steering while like he was playing a beat only he could hear. His hoodie was up, his jaw tight, eyes flicking between the rearview mirror and the street ahead. "You sure he gon' show?" I asked. "He'll show. Too much money on the table not to." I nodded, took a drag, and stared out the window at the empty street. Rosewood always looked like this after midnight, quiet, wet, and watching. Like the buildings had eyes. We've been planning this job for weeks. A courier run, low security, inside connect. All we had to do was hit the drop, grab the cash, and vanish before anyone noticed. Easy money. That's the thing about easy. It never is. We parked behind the old laundromat, killed the lights, and waited. The plan was tight. I'd handle the exchange, he'd cover the perimeter, and the inside man would text when the target rolled up. The clock on the dash hit 1:03 a.m. The city hummed low around us. Rain, sirens in the distance, the whisper of tires on wet streets. I checked my piece. Glock 19. Full mag, safety off. The metal was cold, almost comforting. "You nervous?" he asked. I smirked. "You?" He didn't answer, just pulled his mask halfway up and said, "Let's make history." The courier showed right on time. Black SUV, tinted windows, engine still running. A man stepped out, tall, thick jacket, carrying a small duffel bag. Our inside man texted. "Go." I stepped out from the shadows, hood low, one hand on my piece, the other steady at my side. "Evening," I said. He barely looked at me. "You the pickup?" Something like that. He handed the bag halfway. I grabbed it, opened just enough to see the stacks inside. My chest tightened. It was real. That's when I heard the first sound that told me something was wrong. Not the city noise. Not the rain. The click of a safety behind me. "Drop it." The voice came low, right behind my ear. "Calm. Familiar." I froze. My mind raced. He was supposed to be covering me. But that voice wasn't angry. It was steady. Cold. Like it had been waiting for this moment. I turned my head slow. The gun pressed against the side of my neck followed me. "What the hell are you doing?" I whispered. His mask was off now. Rain dripping off his face. No expression. Just empty eyes. "Sorry, man. Plans changed." I laughed once. Couldn't help it. "You serious?" He didn't move. The courier was gone. Already slid back into the SUV and peeled off. The sound of the tires blended with the rain until all that was left was me. Him, and that bag full of cash between us. "Put the gun down," I said quietly. "You don't want to do this." He tilted his head. "You think I had a choice?" Then came the flash. I dropped before I even heard the shot. My shoulder burned like it was on fire. I hit the pavement, rolled, pulled my Glock, and fired twice. The first shot missed. The second hit the wall inches from his head. He dove behind the SUV, cursing. Blood ran down my arm, warm and slick. My fingers went numb around the gun. I heard footsteps, then the sound of him sprinting off, the bag dragging against the ground. I pushed myself up, body shaking, and followed the trail of money fluttering out of the torn duffel like dying leaves. He ran toward the east side, where Rosewood cut into the projects. I knew that area better than he did. The chase twisted through alleys, broken fences, puddles reflecting flickering streetlights. The city felt alive, breathing, watching, whispering through the rain. Every turn, I caught a glimpse of him ahead. Every corner, another echo of our past. Graffiti we'd sprayed as kids, corners we used to post on, faces long gone. We'd come up together. Same block, same hunger. And now, he was trying to leave me bleeding on the same streets we swore we'd escape. I remember thinking how messed up it all looked from above. Two ghosts running through the rain, chasing something neither of us would ever really own. By the time I caught up, we were behind an old warehouse near the train tracks. He'd stopped, leaning against the wall, bag at his feet, chest heaving. "Don't move," I said. He turned, gun in hand, pointing right at me. For a second, neither of us spoke. Just rain, just breathing. Then he said, "It was supposed to be clean, man. You were never supposed to find out." "Find out what?" He laughed, a broken, tired sound. "You think this was your job? You think the Connect wanted you?" I took a step forward. "What are you talking about?" He looked at the bag, then back at me. "They set you up. You were the distraction. I was supposed to finish it." "Finish what?" "You." The words hit harder than the bullet. My grip tightened on the Glock. "You lying." He shook his head slowly. "They pay me double, man." Said you've been talking to people you shouldn't. Said you was getting soft. Soft. That word burned worse than the wound in my shoulder. We stared at each other through the rain, two brothers in everything but blood, now standing on opposite sides of the same nightmare. Then, somewhere in the distance, the siren started. He looked toward the sound, eyes darting. "We ain't got time for this." "You made time when you pulled that trigger." He raised his gun again. "Don't make me do it twice." I fired first. The flash lit up the alley like lightning. He ducked, fire back. Sparks jumped off the metal dumpster beside me. Rain turned to steam on the hot pavement. Bullets ricocheted off the walls like angry ghosts. Then silence. I stepped forward, gun still raised. He was on the ground, blood mixing with the rain. The bag was half open beside him. He looked up at me, eyes glassy, lips trembling. "You wasn't supposed to be here tonight." I knelt beside him, chest heaving. "Neither were you." He coughed, a wet sound. "Take it, just go." I looked at the bag, then back at him. I should have walked away, but something in me froze. "Why?" I whispered. He didn't answer, just stared past me, at the dark sky, at nothing. Then his eyes stopped moving. I don't know how long I stood there. The rain washed over both of us, carrying the blood into the cracks in the pavement. Somewhere far off, a police siren wailed closer. I grabbed the bag, wiped my gun, and ran. Now, hours later, I was hiding in a burned-out apartment on the north side, sitting by a window with the lights off, watching the blue glow of a helicopter sweep over the rooftops. The cash sat beside me, blood still drying on the zipper. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. They're coming. My stomach dropped. Whoever they were, it wasn't just cops. I reached for my gun, checked the mag, half empty. My shoulder throbbed every time I moved. Outside, the rain slowed. The city sounded calmer, almost peaceful. That kind of peace only shows up right before the storm. I thought about everything that led here, every lie, every score, every night. I told myself the next hit would be the last. Funny how the last one really means something when it's the night your whole life burns down. A soft knock at the door. 3 taps. Then silence. My heart jumped. That was the signal. The one we used. Except he was dead. I reached for the doorknob, gun raised. Then a voice whispered through the crack. "Open up. We need to talk." The voice wasn't his. It was deeper, older. "Come." I opened the door just enough to see the man standing there. Black trench coat, scar across his cheek, eyes like he'd already seen how this ends. He looked down at the bag beside me. "So," he said quietly, "you got it." I didn't answer. He stepped inside, slow and deliberate. "You did good. Better than I expected. Who the hell are you?" He smiled, faint and cruel. The man who paid your friend to pull the trigger. The air froze between us. I aimed the gun at his chest. You set this up? He nodded. Business, son. You were a loose end. Then why am I still breathing? He took another step closer, eyes locked on mine. Because you finished the job for me. He looked down at the blood on my clothes and nodded once, almost respectful. I'll be in touch, he said, turning toward the door. You're not going anywhere. He stopped, half-turned, his face hidden in shadow. Don't make the same mistake twice. Before I could pull the trigger, he vanished into the hallway. I ran after him, but the stairwell was empty, just echoes and rain leaking through broken windows. I went back inside, shut the door, and sat down beside the bag again. My shoulder was bleeding through the bandage I'd made from an old t-shirt. My head felt like it was full of smoke. The city outside started to wake up. The hum of early buses, the whisper of traffic, the sound of rain easing into morning. Somewhere out there, that man was still watching. And somewhere beneath him, a whole web of people pulling strings I didn't even know existed. This wasn't just a betrayal. It was a setup from the start. And if I was going to survive it, I'd have to burn the whole damn system down. The rain stopped around dawn, but the city still smelled like it. Damp concrete, exhaust, and something metallic that clung to my skin. I sat there in that burned-out apartment, watching steam rise from the streets below while the bag of money sat like a curse beside me. Every sound outside made my pulse jump. A car, doors slamming, a siren in the distance, footsteps echoing through the hallway. But it wasn't cops I was scared of. It was him, the man with the scar. He'd walked in like he owned the place, said a few words, and vanished into thin air. No name, no threat, just a ghost who'd written my death warrant and then decided to keep me alive. That kind of mercy don't come free. I couldn't stay there. Too exposed, too easy. I wrapped my shoulder tighter, shoved the Glock into my waistband, and threw on a clean hoodie I found hanging in the closet. Smelled like mold and cigarettes. When I stepped outside, the air felt heavy. The morning sky was gray, soft light spilling over the cracked rooftops of Rosewood. The same streets I used to run as a kid looked smaller now, like they'd been shrinking while I wasn't looking. I walked fast, head low, past the corner where we used to post up, the alley where we learned to fight, the wall where our names were still tagged, faded ghosts of who we used to be. Every memory felt poisoned now. There was only one person left I could trust, or maybe just one person desperate enough to talk. Done. He used to move weight for us, small time, kept his ears open, always knew what was happening before anyone else did. If anyone knew who the man with the scar was, it'd be him. He ran a barbershop on the South End, fresh cuts, the kind of spot where deals got made in whispers while clippers hummed over the sound of gossip. When I walked in, the bell over the door jingled, and every head turned for a second too long. Tone was in the back, trimming some old man's hair, cigarette tucked behind his ear. He froze when he saw me. Damn, he said, setting the clippers down. Thought he was dead. Almost, I said. Need a word. He glanced around. Not here. Back room. The back room smelled like oil and dust. A single bulb buzzed overhead. Tone shut the door, locked it, then leaned against the counter. You look like hell, he said. I need info. On who? I met his eyes. Tall dude, scar on his cheek. Moves like he runs things. Tone's face changed. Not fear, but recognition. The kind that meant don't even say his name out loud. He turned away, rubbed his hands together. You sure you want to know that? I wouldn't be here otherwise. He sighed. They call him Carter. Used to be muscle for a crew out east. Word is, after his boss went down, he started running jobs himself. Contract hits, courier drops, black bag stuff. Not local. Bigger. You cross him, you ain't just crossing one man. Who's behind him? Tone shook his head. Don't ask questions that end with funerals. I stepped closer. He said they paid my friend to shoot me. Who's they? Tone stared at the floor for a long second, then finally said, You ever hear of the Syndicate? My blood ran cold. That name hadn't been spoken on Rosewood in years. Back when I first started hustling, there were stories, whispers about a crew that didn't move product, didn't run corners, didn't care about colors or blocks. They moved people, information, money, the kind of organization that used the streets like chess pieces. If Carter was part of that, then this wasn't some random betrayal. It was a message. Tone looked at me. You got in their way, even if you didn't mean to. You were supposed to disappear clean. Carter handles the cleanup. If he let you live, it's cause he got another plan for you. I felt the walls closing in. Where do I find him? Tone shook his head. You don't. You run. Not an option. He studied my face for a second, then sighed again. There's a warehouse by the docks. Old fish plant. Word is, Carter meets there when he don't want to be seen. You didn't hear that from me. I nodded. You didn't. As I left the shop, I caught my reflection in the window. Eyes dark, skin pale, shoulder bleeding through the hoodie. I looked like someone I didn't recognize. Someone who'd already buried too many people. I walked toward the docks. The city was waking up around me. Buses groaning, kids yelling, the smell of fried breakfast mixing with diesel fumes. But all I could think about was that warehouse. And what I'd do when I got there. The docks were empty by noon. Gray water slapped against rusted metal. Seagulls cried overhead, and the whole place stank like dead fish and gasoline. I found the warehouse Tone had mentioned, faded red letters on the side, Bayline Cold Storage. Half the windows were shattered, the rest fog from the inside. I circled the back, found a side door hanging off its hinges, and slipped in. The air inside was colder than outside. Every sound echoed. My footsteps, the drip of water from a broken pipe, the distant hum of machinery, still running somewhere deep inside. Then I heard voices. 2 men, maybe 3, coming from behind a stack of crates. I crept closer, crouched behind a rusted forklift, and peeked around the corner. Carter stood there, same trench coat, same scar, talking to a younger guy in a suit who looked way too clean for this place. You said it was handled, the younger man said. Carter's tone was calm, almost bored. It is. He's off the grid. That's not what we're hearing. Then your people are hearing ghosts. The man in the suit frowned. If he's alive, it's a problem. Carter stepped closer. He's not your problem anymore. He's mine. The man hesitated, then handed him a folder. Just make sure it stays that way. He turned and walked off, leaving Carter alone. I waited until the echo of footsteps faded, then stepped out from the shadows. Didn't expect to see you working days, I said. Carter didn't flinch, just turned his head slightly, that scar catching the light. Well, he said, guess the rumors were true. Guess so. He eyed the gun at my hip, the bandage on my shoulder, the exhaustion written all over me. You should have stayed dead, he said quietly. I raised the Glock. You talk too much. He smiled. You think killing me changes anything? You remarked the moment you took that bag. Then maybe I'll start unmarking myself. He chuckled. That's not how it works. Before I could move, something slammed into the back of my head hard. The world went black. I woke up tied to a chair. My arms were bound behind me with zip ties, ankles taped to the legs. My head throbbed. Dim light flickered from a single hanging bulb. Carter stood a few feet away, smoking a cigarette, the folder from earlier open on a table beside him. Sleep well, he asked. I spat blood onto the floor. You hit like a coward. He smirked. You talk like a man who hasn't figured out he's already dead. He flipped a page in the folder. You know what's funny? I didn't even ask for this job. But your boy, he made it personal. Said you were thinking about leaving, maybe talking to cops, maybe to a rival crew. They paid double to make sure it looked clean. I stared at him. And you believe that? He shrugged. Didn't matter. I don't ask questions. I finish jobs. Then why am I still breathing? Carter flicked ash onto the floor. Because you killed him for me. Saves me a bullet. He walked closer, crouched in front of me. His breath smelled like smoke and mint. Now, you're gonna tell me where the rest of that money is. What money? Don't play dumb. That bag you took was a sample. The real shipment's missing, 2 million. You had the inside man. You tell me where it went? Maybe I'll let you keep breathing. I laughed, even though it hurt. You think I'd be sitting in this dump if I had 2 million? Carter studied me for a moment, then stood. Pity. He nodded to someone behind me. Footsteps. A man stepped out of the shadows, tall, bald, face covered in tattoos. He cracked his knuckles, grinning like he'd been waiting all day. Carter walked out. When he's ready to talk, call me. Then the door closed, and the beating began. Time blurred. Fists, boots, pain. At some point, I stopped trying to count the hits. But between every punch, every kick, I kept thinking about what Carter said. 2 million. Missing. If that was true, then maybe my friend hadn't betrayed me for greed. Maybe he was trying to double-cross them. Maybe he died for something bigger. The thought hit me like a spark. The tattooed man leaned down to grab my collar, and I slammed my head forward hard. He stumbled back, cursing, and that's when I kicked my legs up, snapped the chair, and dove for the floor. My hands were still tied, but adrenaline makes miracles. I rolled, grabbed a shard of broken glass, and sliced through the plastic zip tie. The man lunged again, but I drove the glass into his thigh. He screamed, swung wild, and I caught it with a head but that made stars explode behind my eyes. He fell. I took his gun and ran. The hallway outside was long and dark, lit by flickering lights. My shoulder screamed with every step. Somewhere behind me, I heard Carter yelling orders. I pushed through a side door and stumbled into the daylight, onto the docks. The wind hit me like knives. Gulls scattered into the sky. I ran until my legs almost gave out. Then I ducked into an abandoned shipping container and sat there, shaking, bleeding, breathing hard. For a long minute, all I heard was my heartbeat. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number again. "You still alive?" I hesitated, then typed back. "Who is this?" The reply came fast. "Someone who want Carter gone." I stared at the screen. The next message followed. "Meet me at the old diner on 8th, noon." By the time I reached the diner, I cleaned the blood off and found a jacket to hide the worst of it. My ribs ached. My knuckles were raw. The place looked like a memory. Faded red booths, jukebox dead, smell of burnt coffee. A woman sat in the corner booth, wearing a black leather jacket, hair tied back tight. Her eyes met mine before I even reached her table. "You're late," she said. "Got held up." She smirked. I heard. "Who are you?" "Name's Lena. I used to run with Carter. Till he burned me too." I sat down across from her. "You texted me?" "Let's just say I got access. He doesn't know I'm still breathing." I studied her. She had the look of someone who'd seen hell and learned to smile through it. "What do you want?" "I want Carter gone." "You want answers? We can help each other." I leaned back. "Why should I trust you?" She tilted her head. "You already don't have a choice." Over cold coffee, she laid it out. The syndicate wasn't a gang. It was a network. Businesses, banks, corrupt cops, everything tied together through people like Carter. The money I stole? Just a piece of a much bigger operation, one that funded everything from street guns to political campaigns. And my friend? He'd found out. He tried to steal from them, not for himself, but to buy us out. One final job, one last payday to disappear. "They found out," Lena said. "So they used Carter to clean it up." I stared at the table, jaw tight. "He died trying to save me." "Maybe, but you're still here, which means they failed." I looked up. "So what now?" She leaned forward. "Now we make them pay." Her plan was simple or suicidal, depending on how you looked at it. The syndicate kept digital ledgers hidden across several fronts. One of them was local, an office downtown disguised as a real estate firm. Inside those servers was proof, transactions, bribes, names, enough to bury them all. "We get that data," she said, "we can take Carter down. Maybe the whole organization." Sounds like a death wish. She smiled faintly. "You already died once. Might as well make it count." We spent the next few hours prepping. She had a stolen car, burner phones, and blueprints of the building. I had the motivation. By the time the sun set, the city was glowing gold and red. The streets buzzed like static. I checked the gun, tucked it under my jacket, and looked at her. "You sure about this?" Lena nodded. "No, but I'm done running." So was I. We parked a block away, slipped through the alley behind the building, and entered through a service door she'd already bypassed earlier. Inside, everything was clean, too clean. Polished floors, glass walls, humming servers in a locked room at the end of the hall. Lena started hacking the security console. Her fingers moved fast. 2 minutes, she said. I kept watch by the door. The air was still, heavy. Every sound echoed like thunder. Then the elevator dinged. Carter stepped out. He walked slow, deliberate, flanked by 2 men in suits. His eyes went straight to me. "I should have killed you when I had the chance," he said. "Guess you still got bad timing." He smirked. "You brought help." "How cute." Lena didn't stop typing. "Just stall him," she whispered. Carter raised his gun. No more stalling. The shot tore through the glass wall behind me. I dove behind a desk, fired back. One of his men went down. Lena yelled, "I'm in." She yanked a flash drive from the console, tossed it to me. "Go!" I caught it, shoved it in my pocket, and fired again. Carter ducked, firing back, glass shattering everywhere. "Run," she screamed. I did, but not before seeing Carter aim again. The bullet hit her in the chest. She fell back against the console, blood blooming across her jacket. "Lena," her lips moved, barely a whisper. "Finish it." And she went still. I ran, through hallways, downstairs, into the night. The flash drive felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. Behind me, Carter's voice echoed through the stairwell. "You can't hide forever." Maybe not, but I could damn sure make him pay. Outside, the city lights looked sharper, colder. Every sound was amplified. Tires screeching, dogs barking, helicopters humming somewhere above. I ducked into an alley, caught my breath, and pulled out the drive. Somewhere in there was the truth about Carter, about the syndicate, about everything. I just had to live long enough to use it. Blood doesn't come off easy. Not from skin, not from memory. I spent half the night trying to scrub his face out of my head, but every time I blinked, I saw the same image. His eyes wide open, staring at nothing, that last breath fogging up the cold air before fading. That alley on Rosewood still echoed in my ears. The shouts, the running feet, the screech of tires. My hoodie was stiff with dry blood, and the more I tried to wash it off, the more it looked like the water was bleeding instead. The safe house was dead, quiet except for the hum of the fridge and the low buzz from the streetlight outside. I hadn't slept. Couldn't. Every sound outside made me flinch. A car door, a siren in the distance, a voice echoing somewhere down the block. And then a knock. 3 sharp taps, then silence. I froze. No one knew this spot. No one but me and Marcus. My first thought, they found me. Cops, rivals, someone from the crew. My hand reached for the pistol on the counter before my mind even caught up. "Yo, open up." "It's me." Marcus's voice. Low, urgent. I cracked the door just enough to see him. Hoodie up, eyes darting around, breathing heavy like he'd been running. He pushed past me the second I let him in. "Bro, what the hell happened last night?" he hissed. "The whole block talking. They saying you." "Stop." I didn't want to hear it. "Not yet." He looked around, then slammed the door shut. "You left the body, didn't you?" I didn't answer. He exhaled through his teeth. "Damn." I dropped down on the couch, hands over my face. It wasn't supposed to go like that. "I swear, Marcus, he pulled first." "I ain't a skin who pulled what," he said. "I'm a skin how we fix this." We sat in silence for a long minute. Rain started hitting the window, tapping soft but constant like time running out. Finally, I looked up. "They think it was me. They know it was you." My chest tightened. Word spread quick, Marcus said. "Somebody saw your ride by the alley. The homie's trying to keep it quiet, but you know how it go. Secrets don't last out here." I leaned back, staring at the ceiling. "You think they'll come for me?" He looked at me. No hesitation. "They already planning it." We argued. He said I should skip town, lay low, get out before they make a move. But the thought of leaving like that, like some coward running from his own, it burned in my gut. "I can't just bounce," I said. "They'll say I folded." Marcus shot me a look. "You worried about what they say?" "Bro, they talking about killing you. Ain't no street code gonna save you now." "I ain't running." He threw his hands up. "Then what? You gonna walk into the block and explain? You think they care about explanations?" He was right. But pride, that same poison that keeps you alive out here, it kept my mouth shut. I'd rather die on Rosewood than live somewhere else pretending I wasn't who I was. The next day, I went back. Not to talk, to see. Rosewood was quiet in that strange way. The kind of quiet that only comes after something bad happens. People out on porches pretending not to look, but watching every step I took. The little kids weren't outside. Even the dogs weren't barking. Word had spread. At the corner store, the old guy behind the glass didn't even meet my eyes. Just slid my change across without saying a word. That's when I knew I wasn't one of them anymore. Marcus was waiting in the car around the corner. You done sightseeing?" "They look at me like I'm already dead," I said. He nodded toward the alley. He had people, you know. Cousins, friends. They ain't gonna let it go easy. "I know." He leaned forward, voice low. "Then we hit first." I turned to him. "What you mean?" "Get ahead of it. Clean it up. You know how this goes. Ain't no talking it out. You want to survive. We take out whoever they send before they take you. For a moment, I just stared at him. He wasn't scared. He wasn't angry. He was cold. You sound like you done planned this already, I said. He looked out the window. I've been thinking since last night. You my brother. I ain't letting them do you like that. That night, we loaded up. 2 pistols, a shotgun, and enough adrenaline to burn through a building. We drove with the windows cracked, rain misting through the air, the city glowing under wet streetlights. Every corner felt like it could be the last. Marcus turned the radio off halfway there. The silence got heavy. Remember what we said when we was kids, he said finally. If it ever came down to it, me or the streets. Yeah, I said. Well, it looks like it's that time. We parked 2 blocks away from the spot, an abandoned auto shop they used as a stash house. The kind of place where nothing good ever happened. 2 inside, maybe 3, Marcus whispered. They got to look out on the corner, but he don't know your face like that. Since when you know their whole setup? He didn't answer, just checked his gun again and nodded. Something in my gut twisted, but there was no turning back now. We moved fast, slipped down the alley, staying low, rain dripping from the fire escapes. My shoes splashed through puddles. Every step sounded too loud. We hit the side door. Marcus motioned for me to cover him while he pried it open with a screwdriver. The smell inside hit hard, oil, dust, and something burnt. 2 voices in the back. He nodded once. I went first. The first guy didn't even have time to turn. I hit him in the side, dropped him, gun drawn. The other one pulled from his waistband, but Marcus fired first. The sound exploded through the metal walls, deafening, echoing. Then silence. Just the sound of rain again. I looked at the bodies. My hands were shaking. Marcus stepped over one, grabbed a duffel bag from the table. They was packing up, probably getting ready to move. I couldn't move. My mind was somewhere else. That night, that gun, the blood. He noticed. Don't freeze up now. We ain't done. What we even doing, man? I said. We just digging deeper. He zipped the bag open. Bundles of cash. We cleaning up and getting paid while we at it. That's when I saw it. Under the table, a phone still recording. Screen cracked, red light blinking. My heart stopped. Marcus. He turned. What? I pointed. He picked it up, looked at the screen, then at me. Damn, he whispered. They was streaming this. Streaming to who? Before he could answer, the phone started ringing. The name on the screen? Reese. My blood turned cold. That was the guy running the east side. The one who'd been looking for revenge since the alley. Marcus stared at the phone, then tossed it to the ground. We gotta move. Now. We ran out into the rain. Sirens were already wailing somewhere close. We jumped in the car, hearts pounding, engine roaring as tires splashed through the flooded street. Marcus was driving like a man possessed. They knew we'd come, he said. They set it up. I looked at him. You think someone told him? He didn't answer. His jaw was tight. I pressed. Marcus, watch EFE. Shut up, man. Just let me drive. Something in his tone, I never heard him snap like that. That's when I saw it. His hands trembling on the wheel. We cut through side streets, headlights bouncing off wet pavement. I kept glancing in the mirror. No cars behind us, but the feeling of being watched wouldn't leave. Then we hit the intersection. A black SUV blocked the road. Marcus slammed the brakes. Tires screeched. Doors opened. Four guys stepped out, all armed. It happened too fast. Out, one of them shouted. Marcus cursed under his breath. They ain't police. I looked at him. You set me up? His eyes met mine, full of guilt. I had to, bro, he said softly. They said they'd kill my sister. Then the glass shattered. Gunfire ripped through the night. I hit the floor, glass raining down, metal screaming as bullets tore through the doors. Marcus screamed. One hit him shoulder, then another. I fired back blind, my ears ringing, heart hammering. When the shooting stopped, the air smelled like cordite and rain. Marcus was slumped against the wheel, blood soaking his hoodie. I crawled over. Don't you die on me, man. He coughed, blood on his lips. I tried to warn you. Warn me about what? He reached into his pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. They knew from the start. They knew everything. Then he went still. Sirens again, closer now. I looked down at the paper. My hands were slick with his blood. Unfolded it. Inside was a photo. Me, standing by the alley the night of the shooting. Someone had been watching. On the back, a name. Reese, take him alive. I ran. Didn't even know where, just away. Feet pounding through puddles, lungs burning. The city around me blurred into light and shadow, red and blue flashing off wet walls. Every step felt heavier, every breath louder. Marcus's words echoed in my head. I had to. The streets swallowed me whole that night. Somewhere behind me, the world I knew burned. The block, the code, the brotherhood. All gone. And all that was left was me, a man with blood on his hands and nowhere left to hide. The rain didn't stop that night. It came down hard, pounding the pavement, washing blood into the gutters, drowning out the sound of everything but my own heartbeat. I ran until my legs felt like concrete. Past shuttered stores, empty bus stops, flickering streetlights. The whole city felt hollow, like it knew what I'd done, like it was holding its breath. Marcus's blood was still on me. Warm when it hit, cold now, dried and crusted on my hands, smeared across my jacket. I didn't even try to wipe it off anymore. Every corner I turned, I expected headlights. Every shadow felt like someone aiming at me. By the time I made it to the bridge on Rosewood, the rain had slowed to a steady drizzle. Water dripped from the underpass in long, lazy drops. My chest burned. My throat was raw. I collapsed against the wall and just listened. To the cars overhead, to the city breathing, to the ghosts. Marcus's voice echoed in my head. They knew everything. I pulled the photo back out of my pocket. The rain had smeared the ink, but the image was still clear. Me that night, in the alley, standing over the body. Someone had been following me even before all this started. Reese's name written across the back like a curse. Take him alive. Alive. That meant they didn't just want revenge. They wanted to make me talk. But about what? The money? The deal? The hit that went wrong? Or something bigger? Something I didn't even know I was part of? I needed to disappear. Fast. There was one person left who might still help. The only one who hadn't turned their back on me completely. Her name was Tasha. She worked nights at the corner laundromat, quiet spot near the tracks. We used to run together years ago before I went too deep. She cleaned up her life, got out, and I swore I'd never drag her back into mine. But right now, she was the only name my mind could hold. I made my way through back alleys, keeping my head low. The rain turned the street lights into smears of gold and red. My sneakers squished with every step. When I got to the laundromat, the neon sign flickered weakly. Open 24 hours, but only half the letters worked. I stood across the street, watching through the glass. She was there, headphones in, folding clothes, head bobbing slightly to whatever song she was playing. Normal, peaceful, something I hadn't felt in years. I almost turned back, but then the fear caught up to me again, the sound of that SUV, the gunfire, Marcus's body going limp. I pushed the door open. A bell jingled above me, loud enough to make my skin crawl. She looked up, eyes widening. You? For a second, she just stared, then shut the music off. You look like hell, she said. I glanced at the mirror. She wasn't wrong. My eyes were bloodshot, face streaked with grime and rain, hands still stained red. I need help, I said. Her eyes flicked to my hands, then back to me. You killed someone? I didn't mean to. That's what they all say. I stepped closer. Please, Tasha, I ain't got nobody else. She hesitated. Something in my voice must have cracked the wall she'd built, because she sighed and nodded toward the back door. Go. Now, before someone sees you. She led me into the small back room. Boxes of detergent stacked high, an old couch, a buzzing fluorescent light. Start talking, she said. I told her everything. Not all at once, not in order. It came out like broken glass, sharp and scattered. The fight, the shooting, Marcus, the ambush. By the time I finished, her face was pale. You can't stay here, she said quietly. I just need a few hours. I'll be gone by morning. She shook her head. You don't get it. Reese runs half this side of the city now. He's got eyes everywhere. You show your face here, they'll find you. I can handle Reese. She looked at me like I'd lost my mind. You can't handle ghosts. You don't just kill people. He erases them. You think Marcus was the first. That hit me hard. I leaned back, running my hands through my hair. Then what do I do? She hesitated, then said something I never expected. You run. I laughed, bitter, broken. Run where? Ain't nowhere left. You ever think maybe that's the point? She knelt in front of me. You've been fighting the streets your whole life, and all it ever gave you back was pain. Maybe it's time you stopped trying to win. Her words hit deeper than she knew. But before I could answer, a sound outside. Tires on wet pavement. Doors slamming. She froze. We both knew what that meant. Back door, she whispered. Now. We slipped out through the alley, the night swallowing us. I heard voices low, muffled, then louder. Check inside. My chest tightened. We ran, feet splashing through puddles, breath fogging in the cold air. A flashlight beam swept across the alley behind us. Stop! I grabbed Tasha's hand and pulled her down another side street. The sound of boots followed, close, fast. We cut through a chain-link fence, tearing my sleeve on the wire. She stumbled once, but I yanked her forward. Gunshots cracked behind us. Sparks jumped off a dumpster as the bullets hit. We didn't stop running. By the time we made it to the train yard, my lungs were on fire. The old boxcars sat rusted and still, rain hissing off their metal roofs. We ducked behind one, gasping. Tasha clutched her chest. You said they wouldn't find you. I was wrong. She gave a hollow laugh. You think? I peeked out, silhouettes moving through the yard, flashlights slicing the darkness. They got dogs, she whispered. I could hear them too now, barking in the distance, growing closer. I looked at her, then at the fence beyond the tracks. You can still make it. Go. I'm not leaving you. You have to. Her eyes were glassy under the dim light. What happens to you? I loaded the pistol. The last one I had. Doesn't matter. I waited until she slipped into the shadows, heading for the far side. Then I stood, rain dripping off my face, and aimed toward the voices. Over here, one of them shouted. I fired once, then twice. The sound ripped through the yard. They fired back. Bullets pinged off metal, shattering glass. I ducked behind the train, heart slamming. I wasn't trying to win, just to buy her time. For once in my life, I was doing something that wasn't about me. The air filled with smoke and gunpowder. Then silence. When I peeked out again, one of them was down. The others were spreading, flanking. I took off running, zigzagging between boxcars, slipping in the mud. One of them shouted. A beam of light caught me for half a second. Then another shot cracked, grazing my arm. I stumbled, nearly fell, but kept going. At the far end of the yard was an old maintenance shed. Broken door, roof half collapsed. I slipped inside and slammed it shut. The darkness was suffocating. My breath came in shallow gasps. Somewhere outside, I heard them regrouping. Check the shed. My grip tightened around the gun. There was nowhere left to run. The door creaked open. A flashlight swept across the room. I fired. The guy dropped. Two more voices shouted, angry, panicked. Then I heard something else, a familiar tone. Slow clap. Footsteps. You always did have bad aim, a voice said. Reese. He stepped into the light, rain glistening on his jacket. You've been busy, he said. Real messy, too. I raised the gun. You came all this way just to talk. He smiled cold, snake-like. If I wanted you dead, you'd be dead. I came to collect what's mine. I frowned. What are you talking about? He took a step closer. Marcus didn't tell you everything, did he? My stomach dropped. He reached into his pocket and tossed something onto the floor. A flash drive. That's the reason your boy got set up, he said. That drive got every number, every shipment, every dirty deal your crew been doing behind my back. Marcus stole it. Thought he could sell it, disappear. My hand shook. That's not possible. He wouldn't. Reese smirked. You think loyalty means something in this city? You just killed a man who was trying to save himself. I stared at the drive. My whole chest went cold. Where's the money? He asked. I don't have it. He chuckled. You really don't get it, do you? It was never about the money. It was about sending a message. He leaned in close, voice low. The streets don't forget. They just wait. Then, headlights cut through the rain outside. Police sirens. Reese looked toward the door, curse under his breath. We'll finish this later. He turned to leave, but I grabbed the flash drive and raised my gun. Not this time. He froze. The sirens got louder. The whole yard flashing red and blue. Reese's smile returned, thin, cruel. You shoot me, they find you standing over another body. You really want to die that story? I hesitated. He walked past me slow, eyes locked on mine. That's what I thought. Then he was gone. The cops stormed in seconds later, shouting, guns raised. I dropped the weapon and put my hands up. The last thing I saw before they cuffed me was the flash drive glinting on the wet floor. The cell was small, cold, the kind of place where time doesn't move. The sound of dripping water echoed somewhere far away. I sat on the bench, staring at my hands, the bloodstains long gone, but I could still feel them. A guard opened the door. "You got a visitor." I didn't ask who, didn't care. But when she walked in, I couldn't breathe. Tasha, her hair damp from the rain, eyes tired but alive. "You made it out," I whispered. She nodded. "Barely. They're saying you took out half of Reese's crew." I didn't. I just couldn't stop it. She sat across from me, sliding something across the table, a small flash drive. My heart skipped. "Where'd you?" "Picked it up before the cops did," she said. "Figured you'd want it." I stared at it like it was a bomb. "That thing got people killed." She leaned closer. "Or it could save others. You turn that in, maybe you walk out of here someday. Maybe you get a second chance. Seconde chance. Funny how those words sound different when you've got nothing left. I looked at her, the only person who ever saw me as more than the streets I came from. "Why'd you come back for me?" I asked. She smiled softly. "Because once a long time ago, you pulled me out when I was drowning. Guess it's my turn." Her hand brushed mine, brief, electric. "Do the right thing this time," she said. "End it." Then she stood up and walked away. The guard came back to take me to processing. As I stood, I looked down at the drive in my palm. The tiny piece of plastic that started it all. The weight of every choice, every death, every betrayal pressed down on me. Marcus, the alley, Tasha, all of it led here. Maybe this was how it was supposed to end. Not with a gunshot, but with a choice. They led me down a long hallway. White walls, fluorescent lights, buzzing overhead. At the end was a desk. Papers. A tired-looking detective. He gestured for me to sit. "You ready to talk?" I looked at the flash drive one last time. The code, the money, the secrets, all of it burned through the city like poison. Maybe it was time someone pulled the plug. I slid it across the table. "Yeah," I said. "I'm ready." The detective nodded, called for another officer. As they left the room, I looked out the small window. Rain still falling, street lights glowing soft through the haze. Somewhere out there, life kept moving. Kids running, cars passing, music playing from a cracked window. Rosewood kept breathing. And for the first time in years, I felt something I hadn't felt since I was a kid. Peace. Not happiness, not freedom, just peace. Because sometimes surviving ain't about winning. It's about finally letting go. The rain hadn't stopped in 3 days. The city felt like it was drowning, streets slick with oil and regret, streetlights flickering over puddles that looked like mirrors, showing everything I didn't want to see. I hadn't slept. Not really. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw him, my brother, my enemy, my reflection. The look on his face when he pulled the trigger, like he'd already died before the bullet even left the gun. I'd been hiding out in an old apartment above a liquor store on Crenshaw. Windows boarded, no power. Just candles, a half-broken radio, and a 9mm that felt heavier every hour. The kind of quiet that made you talk to yourself or to ghosts. I kept thinking about everything that led here. All the corners, the hustles, the choices that stacked up until there was nowhere left to run. We'd started with dreams, me and him. Just two kids who thought we could own the block. Now look at us. One gone, one waiting to follow. A soft knock hit the door. 3 taps. Pause. 2 more. The signal. I slid the pistol under my waistband and went to the door. When I opened it, the hallway light cut through the dark, and she was standing there. Maya. She looked tired, soaked from the rain, eyes red from crying. She stepped in without waiting for an invite, closed the door behind her, and looked at me like she didn't recognize me anymore. "You look worse than him," she said, voice low, shaking a little. "What are you doing here?" "I came to tell you it's done," she said. "Cops found his body this morning. They're saying gang retaliation." My stomach twisted. Hearing it out loud made it real in a way it hadn't been. She pulled off her wet jacket and threw it over the chair. "They're looking for you, too. You know that, right?" I figured. "You can't stay here, Eli." "I'm not running." She stepped closer, eyes full of disbelief. You already ran. From everything. From him, from me, from all this. I turned away, staring out through the cracks between the boards. Street light glow flickered across the rain. You don't get it. I didn't kill him. I know, she whispered. But you might as well have. You both wanted this. You think I don't know? The money, the corners, the pride, you built it together. You both loaded that gun. Her voice cracked on the last word, and that silence after hit harder than anything she said. I sat down on the edge of the mattress, staring at my hands. They were shaking, but I didn't know if it was from cold or guilt. I tried to save him, I said. I swear. But don't, she cut in. Don't rewrite it now. You can't fix what's gone. For a long minute, all I could hear was the rain hitting the roof, steady and cruel. Then she said something that twisted everything inside me. He left you something. She reached into her bag and pulled out a small envelope, soaked at the edges but still sealed. My name scrawled on it in his handwriting. My throat went dry. I took it from her, hands trembling as I tore it open. Inside was a folded sheet of paper and something heavy that slid out onto the bed. His chain. The one he never took off. I stared at it, silver, catching the candlelight. The letter was short. His words were messy, uneven. If you're reading this, then one of us ain't breathing. Maybe that's how it was always going to be. We got too much blood on our names to walk away clean. But if there's any part of you left that remembers who we were before all this, before the corners and the colors, don't let it end like this. One of us has to stop the cycle. Don't make the same choice I did. My eyes blurred. He was gone, and still he was trying to save me. I folded the note and tucked it back into the envelope. The weight of it felt like a confession. Maya was watching me. What are you gonna do? I looked at her, then at the gun on the table. Something different. I left that night. Walked out into the rain with nothing but the chain around my neck and a ghost in my chest. Every block I passed was a memory. The corner where we first made a deal, the alley where we fought over who'd take the heat, the old park where we dreamed about leaving this place. By the time I hit 108th, the storm had slowed to a drizzle. The air smelled like gasoline and wet concrete. The city felt tired, like it was watching me go. I made my way to the warehouse, our old stash spot, the one place no one would think to look now. The door creaked as I pushed it open. Inside, the air was thick with dust and old secrets. Stacks of crates, flickering light from a single bulb. And in the corner, Marcus. He looked up from cleaning his pistol, surprised to see me. Damn, he said, standing. Wasn't sure you had the balls to show your face here. I'm not here for a fight. That what you told him before you let him bleed out? I tensed, jaw tight. You don't know what happened. I know enough. You think killing your own boy gets you a pass? Street's already talking. I didn't kill him. Marcus laughed, bitter and broken. Doesn't matter. You were the last one seen with him. That's enough. He took a step closer. The gun was still in his hand. I could feel my heartbeat climbing up my throat. You know what's funny? I said quietly. He wrote me before he died. Said one of us had to stop the cycle. Marcus frowned. What's that supposed to mean? It means I'm done. He raised his gun. Nobody gets to be done. For a second, time froze. Just the sound of rain dripping through a hole in the roof, echoing off the concrete. Then I dropped my pistol to the floor. His eyes widened. What are you doing? Whatever it takes to end this. I could see the confusion twisting his face, anger fighting with something deeper, fear maybe, or guilt. He hesitated, and in that split second, the door behind him kicked open. Red and blue lights poured through the broken windows. Shouts, boots hitting the floor. Marcus turned, too slow. The shot cracked like thunder. He hit the ground before I even realized the bullet hadn't come for me. Cops flooded in, guns raised, lights blinding. Hands up, now! I dropped to my knees, hands high, heart pounding so loud it drowned out everything else. When they cuffed me, I didn't resist. For once, I didn't run. The cell was small, concrete, steel silence. But for the first time in my life, it felt like peace. Days bled into weeks. Letters came and went, some from Maya, some from people I hadn't heard from in years. The street kept moving without me, like it always does. Sometimes I heard whispers through the bars about how Marcus went down, how the whole crew fell apart after that night, how the cops cleaned house. The streets don't mourn long. They just replaced the names. One night, I was sitting on my bunk, staring at the chain around my neck, still shining, even under that dim prism light. I thought about him, his laugh, his anger, his last words. One of us has to stop the cycle. Maybe I finally did. But what cost? I looked down at my hands, calloused, scarred, old now. Everything I'd ever built was gone, but maybe that's what it took to build something real. Months later, I got word I was getting out early. Cooperation, good behavior, whatever excuse they gave. Maya was waiting outside the gates. She looked older, stronger, like someone who'd learned how to survive the fire. When I walked out, she smiled, small, sad, real. "Didn't think you'd make it out," she said. "Me neither." We drove through the city in silence. So much had changed. New murals, new faces. But under it all, same heartbeat, same pain. She dropped me at the edge of the neighborhood. I stood there for a long time, watching the sunset bleed across the sky. Then I walked, past the liquor store, past the cracked basketball courts, past everything that used to define me. The block was quieter now. Kids played on the corner, laughter bouncing off the walls like echoes of what could have been. I stopped by the mural, his face painted big and bright, surrounded by candles and graffiti. "Rest easy," I whispered. The wind picked up, carrying the sound of sirens somewhere far off. Same city, same story. But maybe now, someone else would get to write a different ending. I took off his chain and hung it on the corner of the mural. The metal clinked softly against the wall. Then I walked away. No gun, no crew, no promises. Just me. And for the first time in a long time, peace.